President Biden saying America can't focus on the threats of 2001 while letting terror groups like ISIS-K and al-Qaeda fester in Afghanistan.
The fundamental obligation of a president, in my opinion, is to defend and protect America, not against threats of 2001, but against the threats of 2021 and tomorrow. Let me say it clearly. To those who wish America harm, to those who engage in terrorism against us or our allies, know this: the United States will never rest. We will not forgive. We will not forget. We will hunt you down to the ends of the earth, and you will pay the ultimate price.
And White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki was pressed about new potential threats to the homeland.
Does the administration believe that al-Qaeda is no longer a threat to America? And given the ISIS attacks that we've seen in the last week, how confident is the administration that Afghanistan isn't already a safe haven for terrorists?
Well, I think first there is a very big difference between terrorists' ability to attack U.S. troops in Kabul and to attack the homeland. And we do not assess that any terrorist group on the ground has the ability to attack the homeland in the United States.
We kind of know that. I mean, that's pretty obvious, Katie. What are your thoughts on those responses?
I think that they're getting really caught up in Afghanistan as a place rather than Islamic terrorism as an ideology, which can happen in Afghanistan. They can plan a 9/11 style attack if they have the room to do it, as they did before. But it can also happen in places like the United States and Europe, as we saw all throughout the Obama administration when they refused to acknowledge this idea that we're fighting an ideology, not just a country or this enemy that is not traditional, right? But if you go back to what Obama's kind of policy was in foreign policy when Joe Biden was the vice president, you see this theme running through of denying the reality, focusing on diplomacy. You look at Iran and the nuclear agreement, they don't want to have conditions. You saw the Houthis in Yemen, which is another terrorist organization earlier this year. They took the terrorist label off of them through the State Department, and ever since then, all they've been doing is issuing statements about how they shouldn't be bombing people at airports. And so I think that's where we are. We're back to this ideology of not accepting the reality that people want to kill us. There does have to be this balance between combating China and Russia and bigger traditional powers with Islamic terrorism, but you can't ignore that this is still going to be around.
You know, Pete, remember how ISIS just kind of was flourishing and then suddenly it wasn't?
What changed?
I don't know. Do you know?
I don't know. It's just that lots of bombs?
Yes, I think so.
And an unleashed military?
Yeah.
It turns out that still matters in that neck of the woods for sure. And it all to me comes down to the false choice that still exists between leaving, or you have to completely leave, or you absolutely escalate all the way. I'm a little worried about the fact that this is the same White House that's saying nobody could have foreseen that the Afghan troops were going to melt away. That's telling us, everyone's telling us that ISIS does not have the ability to attack us at home. Which one am I supposed to believe? And that's what gives people a lot of pause, because we've now legitimized, and we have legitimized the Taliban as a terror state, and we know they are in bed with al-Qaeda and the Haqqani network. And that doesn't mean we stay forever. That's such a false choice. It means how you leave matters.
How do you
and
end?
we've emboldened them.
How
you leave matters.
Forever?
You don't leave on a deadline when you know the conditions aren't right.
All right, so
and
then
they knew the conditions
leave in
weren't
September.
right. They collapsed.
Then it's going to be October. Then it's going to be next year.
You'd leave when you have all
Then
the
it's gonna
United
be
States
20 more
citizens
years.
out and under conditions that don't leave our kids
Put it in
vulnerable on the
Geraldo's
border.
frame of mind. It's like getting a divorce.
Yes.
Yes.
But
you work toward it. You get everybody gets together.
And the more you fight the inevitable, the bigger the price you pay. Believe me, this is the voice of wisdom.
Maybe this was a terrible analogy on my part.
He is an expert. He is an expert in that.
I am the incontrovertible expert. I worry that it sounds almost like we're rooting for more failure in Afghanistan when I really do believe there is a narrow window where this Taliban de facto government is now morphing into or evolving into a government. It has to be a government. There are good governments, there are bad governments, there are vicious governments, there are cruel governments, there are kind governments, benevolent governments. The Taliban will be whatever the Taliban is, but it will be a government. A government has to have relations with other governments to function as a government. Right now, there's not a bus driver in Kabul that's been paid. There's not, and no one's been paid. I go back to this. If you have no money and you have no food, the people that can provide money and food have leverage. This is real leverage. I foresee, and write this down, I foresee in a week or two, there's going to be a bus of Americans that the Taliban is escorting to a commercial flight in Kabul to.
So they can get money.
Because they want money. Because they want
ATM.
food.
So the
Because they
taxpayer
want
dollars
answers.
they
Ransom
gotta pay the
payments.
bus driver.
Right.
But if our money's contingent on that bus, aren't we paying ransom to get our Americans home?
Yes, yes.
We are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me be very clear. No one is rooting for more failure. What we are lamenting is that character and honor matter, and our dignity matters, and our position in the world matters. And that's why people are mad. I appreciate that the president said that, in his opinion, also in the Constitution, his job is to protect America. I would have started there today with that speech. Instead of coming out hot, taking every talking point that they have used for the last 6 weeks, that we've already heard from McKinsey and Blinken and Sullivan and Psaki, and instead setting that aside and saying, let me be very clear, I will protect you. I'll do everything in my power to protect you. And that is my solemn vow to you. Then go on from there to talk about whatever else. I just want to say one other thing, and I wrote this down, and then I just happened to pick. I see you wrote it down too. This Yemen comparison is driving me absolutely up a wall. He used it with Peter Doocy the other day,
Right.
where first of all, media tip: never answer a hypothetical if you're doing an interview. But it's a really strange thing for a president then to ask the media a hypothetical.
Right.
Like, do you think if the Al Qaeda had been in Yemen and then 9/11 had happened, that we would have gone into Yemen? And he's like, come on, man, we wouldn't have. And I'm thinking, wait, yes, I do think that that happened in Yemen. Yes, I do think that there would have been
Or in
consequences for
Afghanistan.
Yemen.
No, we would not have gone to Afghanistan.
It was basically anywhere, right? That was where we were going to prevent that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it was really stupid. That's our president.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.